Welcome to Navigating the Vortex, a deep dive, big picture analysis of contemporary geopolitics and geoeconomics. Today, a privatized United Nations with a single shareholder. Will Donald Trump's Board of Peace fly or sink? It is hard to believe that Donald Trump has only been back in the White House for a year. His accomplishments are many, but most of them are of questionable durability or benefit, including for the United States. Even his UN-endorsed 20-point ceasefire and transition plan for Gaza released on September 29, 2025 is now in danger of being subsumed in yet another grandiose fantasy of the American president, the so-called Board of Peace to be chaired by Trump. This group of international dignitaries was originally intended to oversee the work of a more technical committee, comprising technocrats responsible for the day-to-day recovery and rebuilding of Gaza. But the Board of Peace's charter makes no mention of Gaza at all. Instead, its opening sentence declares that durable peace requires pragmatic judgment, common-sense solutions, and the courage to depart from approaches and institutions that have too often failed. To make this break with such an unseemly past, the Board of Peace proclaims itself to be an international organization to secure enduring peace in areas affected or threatened by conflict and commits to conducting its operations in accordance with international law. To which the immediate reaction is that unilateralism is increasingly the hallmark of Trump's second administration. Settling conflicts is the prerogative of the UN. And, over the past year, the US has shown itself to be unconcerned about international law. Membership of the board is by invitation from the chairman, Donald Trump, who has broad and flexible discretion on how long he will serve for and who will replace him when he does decide to go. Those invited can join for free for 3 years and buy themselves a permanent seat at the table for $1 billion, £740 million, in cash, payable in the first year. With Trump retaining significant power over the direction of the board and many of its decisions, it is not clear what $1 billion would exactly buy the permanent members of the board, except perhaps a chance to ingratiate themselves with Trump. There is no question that established institutions have often failed to achieve durable peace. Among such institutions, the UN has been a favorite target for Trump's criticism and disdain, as evident in a recent directive to cease participating in and funding 31 UN organizations. Among them were the Peace-Building Commission and the Peace-Building Fund, as well as Office of the Special Representative for Children in Armed Conflict. The deeper and more tragic irony in this is threefold. First, there is strong evidence that the UN is effective as peace builder, especially after civil war, and that UN peacekeeping does work to keep the peace. Second, there is no question that the UN does not always succeed in its efforts to achieve peace. But this is as much, if not more often, the fault of its member states. There's a long history of UN member states blocking Security Council resolutions, providing only weak mandates or cutting short the duration of UN missions. They have also obstructed operations on the ground, as is evident in the protracted crisis in Sudan, where the UN endlessly debates human suffering but lacks most of the funds to alleviate it. Third, even though he is unlikely to ever admit it publicly, Trump by now has surely found out for himself that making peace is neither easy nor straightforward despite his claim to have solved 8 conflicts. And the more so if the pragmatic judgment and common-sense solutions that the charter to his Board of Peace subscribe to end up being, as seems likely, little more than a thin disguise for highly transactional deals designed to prioritize profitable returns for an America First agenda. Part of the reason why the UN has success as a peacemaker and peacebuilder is the fact that it is still seen as relatively legitimate. This is something that is unlikely to be immediately associated with Trump or his Board of Peace if it ever takes off. Such skepticism appears well-founded, particularly considering that among the invitees to join the board is the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, who is not particularly well known for his love of peace. Even Trump, on rare occasions, admittedly, seems to have come to this realization. But it did not stop him from inviting Putin to join the Board of Peace. So, what to make of it all? Is it just another of Trump's controversial initiatives that he hopes might eventually earn him the Nobel Peace Prize after all? Is it merely a money-making opportunity for Trump personally, or is it designed for his political and corporate allies, who might benefit from projects implemented by his Board of Peace? Ultimately, it might be any of these. The real question needs to be about the consequences for the current system. What Trump is effectively proposing is to set up a corporate version of the UN, controlled and run by him. That he is capable of such a proposal should not come as a shock after 12 months of Trump 2.0. More surprising is the notion that other political leaders will support it. This is one of the few opportunities they have to stop him in his tracks. It would not be a cost-free response, as the French president, Emmanuel Macron, has found when he did not appear sufficiently enthusiastic and Trump threatened the immediate imposition of 200% tariffs on French wine. But more leaders should consider whether they really want to be Trump's willing executioners when it comes to the UN and instead imagine, to paraphrase a well-known anti-war slogan, what would happen if Trump gave a board of peace and no one came. A big thank you to all of our readers, listeners, followers and subscribers. Signing up to the newsletter is the best way to make sure you don't miss out on anything, and you'll get our newsletter and podcast delivered straight to your inbox wherever you are in the world. Importantly, you'll also be able to read the full written version of all of our pieces, which gives all of the background links to the information we cite in case you want to dive deeper and, like us, like to look at primary sources and check your facts. You can register for free at navigatingthevortex.com. You can also subscribe for subscriber-only access to comments and chats and other special subscriber-only benefits. You can find all these details in the podcast show notes as well. We hope you'll share Navigating the Vortex with anyone you think might find it of interest. If you like the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening.